Teisha with Shalom TV's News Update. The Jerusalem Post reports that Palestinians rioted on the Gaza side of the Israel-Gaza border on Wednesday, attempting to damage it. The IDF said that a group of Palestinians had gathered around the border fence and spent several hours trying to damage it. An IDF spokeswoman said IDF soldiers shouted out verbal warnings to the rioters. When those warnings were ignored, the IDF fired shots at their legs. Palestinian news agency Ma'an reported that 7 Palestinians were injured during the incident. The IDF spokeswoman said the IDF will continue to secure the border and safeguard the Israeli public. This is the second such riot along the border since a ceasefire took hold between Hamas and Israel last week. The head of Israel's Kadima party, Shalom, called for parties in the political center to come together in an effort to win the upcoming elections in Israel in January. Mofaz said on Wednesday, speaking to a group of high school students, "I believe that there will yet be some changes in the political map that will allow us to come together more closely, strongly, and that will allow us to replace the governing party in Israel." The Cuban government stated on Wednesday that jailed Jewish American Alan Gross does not have cancer and is in overall good health. The statement came in response to claims from Gross's lawyer that Gross is not receiving adequate medical care. Cuba's foreign ministry released a statement saying that a biopsy of a lump that had been found on Gross's shoulder found it not to be cancerous. Gross's wife and lawyer have repeatedly asked that Gross be examined by American doctors of their choosing. Alan Gross was arrested in Havana in 2009 and sentenced to 15 years in prison for bringing computer equipment and satellite phones to Cuba's Jewish community when he was working as a USAID government contractor there. And the Associated Press reports that 6 Bolivian government officials were arrested on suspicion of trying to extort jailed American Jewish businessman Jacob Ostreicher. The 6 are suspected of being involved in a scheme to extort money from Ostreicher in exchange for promises to help get him released. Ostreicher, who is an Orthodox Jew from Brooklyn, was jailed in Bolivia in 2011 for allegedly conducting business with links to drug trafficking and money laundering. Formal charges were never filed against Ostreicher. Evidence of the allegations were never brought by prosecutors, and bail was never set. Bolivia's Interior Minister Carlos Romero told reporters on Tuesday that those arrested for allegedly extorting money from Ostreicher included the judge who first ordered him jailed, as well as officials working in the state agency that seized 18,000 metric tons of rice from Ostreicher. Before his arrest, Ostreicher belonged to a group of investors that put millions of dollars into growing rice in the country, and he has claimed that since his arrest, corrupt Bolivian officials wanted to keep him in jail so they could sell off the rice and extort money from him. Ostreicher is currently being held in a prison medical clinic after being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and suffering from malnutrition as a result of a liquid-only hunger strike that he began several months ago. The Anti-Defamation League reported that since the start of Israel's military Operation Pillar of Defense to stop rockets from being fired from Gaza into southern Israel, more than 100 anti-Israel rallies and demonstrations have taken place across the U.S., with more than 1/3 of them taking place on college campuses. The demonstrations include comparisons of Israelis to Nazis and accusations that Israel is trying to perpetrate, quote, another Holocaust in Gaza. According to the ADL, campus demonstrations included students and professors expressing their support for the Hamas terrorist organization and for terrorism targeting Israelis. ADL National Director Abe Foxman said the Israel-Gaza conflict had reignited anti-Israel passion on college campuses. While a recent study by the American-Israeli Cooperative Enterprise found that anti-Israel activity only occurred on a small portion of college campuses, Foxman warned that anti-Israel student groups will likely seek to capitalize on the momentum surrounding the Gaza conflict by pushing with renewed intensity their anti-Israel tactics and campaigns. And finally, today, Yad Vashem, the Jewish people's living memorial to the Holocaust, bestowed the title of Righteous Among the Nations to the late Archbishop of Florence, Cardinal Elia Angelo Dalla Costa. Dalla Costa, who is referred to as the Cardinal of Charity, served as Archbishop during World War II and was recognized for his role in saving hundreds of Italian Jews by organizing and operating a widespread rescue network, which included asking members of the Catholic clergy, heads of monasteries and convents to shelter Jews during the Holocaust. Dalla Costa also saved thousands of Italians from execution under Benito Mussolini's fascist regime. The title Righteous Among the Nations is given to those who are judged to have done the most, at risk to themselves, to save Jews during the Holocaust. The Cardinal's name will be engraved on the Wall of Honor in the Garden of the Righteous at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. And that's Shalom TV's News Update. I'm Teisha Bader.